Hey y'all, it's Laura, and I am back with some DIY embellishments. Now, you didn't think I was gonna forget to do one of these videos this month, did ya? Not a chance. This one is for a cherry on top and uses Pink Fresh Studios Oh What Fun, which is going to be part of my December daily for next month. Now, I do have a flip through of this whole collection as well as what I'm adding to it for my December daily coming out at the very end of this month or the beginning of next month. So this is a little preview of what you're going to see in my December daily videos. But I wanted to make some quick embellishments to show you how to use some of these holiday themed ephemera pieces and stickers and make your own tiny embellishments that can make for really quick journaling cards, gift tags, regular Christmas cards, greeting cards, anything that you need for quick Christmas crafts. Having these embellishments ready to go can make that process a lot faster. And so I have 6 different ideas for how you can make some adorable little embellishments that can work for any number of projects. At the very end of the video, I have some still photos along with a couple of ideas of how you could use these, how I'm using them. And hopefully that will give you some inspiration to create your own. There's also still photos up on the A Cherry on Top blog, which is at www.acherryontop.com/articles. And that should be up today or maybe tomorrow as well. So for this tag, I've layered together a coffee mug, a candy cane, and a holiday spirit piece, and I thought that was a nice little thing to add together, a little Christmassy snack. So they're all kind of snacky, you know, holiday themed things. A little tag that says cheers and a couple of small tiny embellishments. Now generally my go-to with making embellishments is to use something small, medium, and large, and then tiny detail bits at the end. Now in this case I did actually add 4 things, but that was mostly because my title just had this little ending, and I thought it needed a little bit more definition at the bottom, and that's why I added the cheers, is just to give it a little bit more definition at the bottom. But generally what I do is have a base, I add a sentiment, and then those 3 small, medium, large pieces of embellishment to them, and then some little detail pieces like these little tiny punch stars or Nouveau drops. So in this case, I'm using Nouveau and those tiny punch stars as my detailed embellishing. So that's this tag done. Super quick and easy and a lot of fun to play with. Next up, I have this little scrap of paper here. It's a grid paper, and I'm going to cut it into a one-sided banner. And once I have this piece, I'm just going to start layering with like pieces. I found another little banner that had a sentiment on it, and then I'm going to build up a little cluster here on the left side. Now, a couple of quick tips on making embellishments that you might find helpful. I generally embellish one side of the banner, not both. And this works for most things. I'm going to use a couple different types of bases, labels, banners, some of those fussy cut frame pieces at the top, and I always embellish just the one side of the base. And what that does is it keeps it simple and helps to guide where you use it. So if I have all of my embellishment pieces on the left side of the base, then I'm more likely to put it on the left side of a photo, the left side of a card. But if I put all of the embellishing pieces on the right, I'm more likely to lean that direction in placing it on a gift tag, a card, etc. Now these could also be used on layouts. They can be tucked in around your photos or around a journaling card on your photos. They can be used as little embellishment clusters up at the top or the bottom of your page away from the rest of your layout, just as a little accent piece. And I really like these for that purpose. I think they're super easy to use. My second tip is that you don't want to make a ton. Unless you plan on making a ton of cards in one go, I would suggest sticking to 10 or less, seeing which ones really work well for you, and then making a bulk amount of those same embellishments so that they're easy for you to use on your projects. Now with this embellishment, I wanted to show you not to be afraid to cover up some of your details. So this is a really pretty poinsettia flower, and I've decided to tuck it back behind the frame base that I'm using here. Now this was a piece that I cut out from the 6x6 paper pad, and this frame went off the edge of the paper. Well, I went ahead and cut it out anyway and figured I could use it for a DIY embellishment. Sure enough. So now I've added just a little blue asterisk piece, and then I'm going to add a tiny little star, and this one will be just about done. It was super quick and easy, but it's perfect to tuck in to a little corner or a little crevice, or even build on it on a layout to make it an even bigger cluster. But these are a lot of fun to do. They don't take any time at all. I made all 6 in 30 minutes, and you could bulk make the same embellishment if you wanted to much faster than that. The Nuvo adds a nice little bit of detailing without having to splatter or make a giant mess on such a small piece. You have a more controlled splatter instead. Now, the next tip is to use your pen to outline the sentiment if you feel like it's getting lost in the busyness of the background. So in this case, I'm making faux stitching marks, like little dashed lines around my sentiment. See how that helps it to pop off of the page there a little bit. And that's the easiest way that I know of to make your sentiment the focal image of that embellishment. Now remember, I'm using these embellishments on 3x4 cards, so there isn't necessarily going to be a photo associated with them, though they might. We'll see how we go. I had a couple that I kept free just to stick into my December daily album for next month. Now for this little cluster, my tip is to put like things together, so like shapes. I have 3 different presents in different shapes and sizes, well, the same shape, different sizes, different colors, and I'm going to cluster the 3 together. So the small, medium, large present, and then I'm adding a sentiment there to the right. And my cluster will all stay on one side, on that left side, but they're all similar in shape, and so they look like they belong together. I also do this with stars. I do this with florals. I do this with snow globes occasionally. It doesn't matter the shape. You can always cluster them together and it will look like they belong because they're the same shape. So that is an easy way to throw these embellishments together. Just adding on a little gold star and then some Nuvo, and this one will be done too. These are super quick and easy to do, and I would really encourage you to give them a go. And I have a quick question for you. Do you make DIY embellishments at all, or do you just enjoy watching them? Because I find I go through phases personally. Sometimes I'll make a whole bunch of DIY embellishments and I'll use them on and off for a few months. And other times I'll just make a few just to get me through that collection or kit. And then there's times I just like watching other people make them. And that's fun too. So let me know if you like to make them in the comments below, or if you just like to watch them, because I do find they are very popular videos on my channel, and I'm super curious if people actually watch them because they're going to make them or just because they are a lot of fun to watch. So for this one, I'm using a label as a base, adding on my sentiment and a few stars, and that will be super quick and easy to add on to a journaling card. Now, when I initially put this down, I forgot that I needed room for the star. So we'll end up pulling the sentiment back up and shifting it over a little bit just so I have enough room for my star. Now I find that if you do this right away with double-sided tape, you usually have a little bit of leeway before it fully adheres, and I tend not to push down on my embellishment unless I know that's where I want it to be 100%, and in this case that was not the case. If you prefer to have a little bit more movement on your project until you're sure that's where you want it, you could use a temporary adhesive. There are some little dot rollers that are more temporary and give you some freedom of movement for a while. I find even with glue that sometimes that gives me just a couple of seconds to adjust it slightly, and it doesn't adhere down permanently in place right away. So I've got 3 stars on this one. I've got a red star that says peace, I believe, a little green star from the puppy sticker pack, and a gold punch star. And I'm going to cluster the 3 sizes here together on the right side, add a little Nuvo, and it's done. And this little label adds such a nice little handmade pop onto a journaling card. It takes a flat, rather boring journaling card that came with this collection and makes it more your own. It's more personalized, it's more handmade looking, it just has a nicer feel to it. It's not just a flat card anymore. So for the last embellishment, I have this label here that has a sentiment on it. And I really wanted to use some of the bells in this collection because that's not something that I reach for very often. So I decided to create some flags under the left side of the sentiment, and then I'll layer some bells behind it. This is something a little bit different. I wanted to give you several ideas so that they're not all the same. Quite often my DIY embellishments, I do several that are similar right in a row and then just use them up through the month. But I wanted these to be a little bit different one from another because they're all going to be in the same project. Whereas normally I use them on multiple projects that could be in multiple albums. So if they're similar or the same, that's fine. In this case though, they're all gonna be in the same project. So I wanna make sure that they're a little bit different and feel a little bit more customized. So I've gotten a smaller bell from the ephemera pack and then a larger one that I believe I fussy cut from one of the 6x6 papers. And I'm just gonna add the two of them here on the side, gluing them down, one behind and one next to the sentiment. And again, keeping the flags on the left and the bells on the left. So all of my embellishing is on one side, which kind of gives me a guide to where I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it toward the left of a photo or of a journaling card. To finish it off, I add a tiny little floral there. So I've got a small, medium, large embellishment there, as well as these little flags at the bottom. And I am going to go ahead and do faux stitching outlines on the sentiment as well, because this has a very limited color scheme and I felt like the message was getting lost, that my sentiment was getting a bit lost with all of the beautiful things on the left side. And so by doing this really quick black outline of faux stitching around the sentiment, it helps it to really stand out and be the focal image of the cluster. Now, if this is placed next to your photo, it's obviously subtle enough that it's not going to take away attention from your photo, but it does draw attention to the sentiment, which I felt was the most important part of that particular embellishment. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you have enjoyed these ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and here are a few ideas on how to use them. Until next time, bye guys!